What if I were to tell you that Microsoft stock is about to drop 15%? Let's talk about it. So I know this is not going to be met with the most endearing ears because most people are infatuated with the shares of Microsoft, and rightly so. And we're going to talk about the fundamentals of the company. We're going to talk about the valuation of the company. We're going to talk about the technicals of the company. And we're going to give it a full trial tonight. We're going to do a 360 on Microsoft stock, and we'll talk about the whys behind why I believe the stock is going to drop by at least 15%. Now, had you asked me this question a month ago, I would have probably not given you a 15% price movement on Microsoft to the downside. I would have said it was going down because I did want to short it. And we'll talk about the whys behind me wanting to short it a month ago. But right now, we'll leave that for later on. But right now, we'll talk about why I didn't short it. So we had a couple of binary events that were upon us. One was earnings. And I'm not going to short Microsoft into earnings. Two, we had the election. Wasn't going to short Microsoft into two binary events. Now, seasonality is not necessarily a binary event, but it's certainly influential. So we know that November is the best month to be long of equities out of the year. Best month by far. So that kept me at bay. And you know what? That discipline paid off. And I'll show you on the chart in a moment about why it paid off. So why am I looking at Microsoft yet again so bearishly? Why am I so bearish on Microsoft stock that I am so emboldened to slap a 15% downside move on its back? That's a pretty cocky move going into the back half of the year, which again is seasonally favorable. December, not as much as November, but still Santa Claus rally time. What caused me to become bearish on Microsoft about a month ago was the fact that it was lagging the Q names. And then today I started looking at Microsoft again, and I realized that Microsoft had given up most of its gains post-election. In fact, the triple Q names are up over 4%, where Microsoft is up now only 1.5% since the election. That's a relative laggard. Now, what else comes into play here, and this should really be a concern for those that may not be necessarily long of Microsoft, but if you're long of the triple Qs, you are quasi-long of Microsoft because Microsoft is the largest component of the triple Qs. So what we're going to talk about here is we're going to do a 360. We're going to take a very objective look at Microsoft in terms of its fundamentals, in terms of its valuation and growth, and in terms of the technicals. So let's get to it. You know, folks, before we get into it, I have this in front of me, and I just want to remind you that TrendSpider is offering a huge discount of around 71%. So I would strongly encourage you folks that haven't jumped at the 75% discount that they were offering the other day, jump at the 71%, capture that value because they are scaling it back day by day. So please use the link below if you're watching this on YouTube. Use the link above if you're watching this on Twitter, and on the website if you're watching it there. You'll find it in the post somewhere. So the functionality here is just, I can't go over it all, but you have back testing, real-time scanning, technical and fundamental alternative. So what is that? What is that jibber jabber? What that is technical and fundamental alternative analysis. They have seasonality, click of a button. See what month, what week, what day your stock does best in. Analyst opinion. Insider buying and selling. Pattern recognition, back testing. What else do they have here? Trading bots, dynamic alerts. I use those all the time. Real-time scanning. I use that all the time. I do videos about it. So there is just so much that they have to offer at this price point. Now it's 71% off. What are you waiting for? It's not going to get any cheaper. In fact, that discount is gradually diminishing. Take advantage of it now. This is the Bloomberg terminal for the retail investor. Take advantage of it. Again, link below on YouTube, link above on Twitter. And if you watch this on the website, check the blog post and you will find it there. So let's get to it. Let's talk about Microsoft. We'll go to valuations first. I'll use TrendSpider for the technical analysis and I'll do a little bit of a demonstration there, so stick around. So let's begin with Investors Business Daily. Now, Investors Business Daily is one of my favorite tools. I outsource my fundamental analysis to them. Now, Microsoft, I was surprised to see tonight, when I was prepping for this, their composite rating is only 65 now. And when I did a deeper dive into why they're only at a 65 composite rating, their relative strength, which is what I just spoke about, their relative strength versus the S&P 500 is declining. And in fact, you could argue it's under distribution. And even when you take a look at the accumulation distribution rating, it's only ranking a C. And this is over the past 13 weeks. So I suspect that this green dot here is going to turn orange very, very soon. Now, moving on to the fundamentals. Oh, by the way, before we leave here, the group strength is very weak as well. Now, moving on to the fundamentals, great company here. Let's face it, Microsoft still is great. I may be bearish on it, but it's a great company. Let's pay it the respect it's due. EPS growth, 10% last quarter. 3-year EPS growth, 13%. ROE is 37. Now, if you have an ROE of 20, you're doing a great job as a management team for your company and your investors. 37, you're doing an outstanding job. Now, looking over here, the PE ratio is at 34. Is that frothy to the rest of the market? Yes, but you're paying a premium for a quality company. Is it, though, this is the question you should be asking yourself, is it, though, valued historically at a premium right now? Let's talk about that. Let's head on over to full ratio. Now, beginning with a price to earnings ratio, we're up there. We're at levels we haven't been at since 2018. So, yeah, are we a bit frothy right now on valuation? Sure. Does it concern me all that much? Were it not for the lagging of the share price relative to the S&P 500 and the triple Qs, we wouldn't be having this conversation tonight about Microsoft. So I did a little bit more of a deeper dive into the valuation beyond the PE multiple. So I took a look at price to sales. Now, price to sales is at very, very frothy levels. In fact, one could argue that we are at historical highs. There's no doubt about the fact that we are at highs going back to 2010. That's not something to be ignored. And at current, we're trading 11% higher than its 5-year quarterly average. All at the same time, you're looking at growth, not what it once was. Take a look at this line in yellow, net income. It is now crossed down below in terms of relative performance down below revenue growth and gross profit. Granted, all three are beginning to hook back up, but the trend, it's still clear, it's still defined. Now, another area I want to talk about with Microsoft is efficiency. Return on equity, declining. Return on assets, declining. Return on sales, flatlined. Return on invested capital, declining. We're seeing some problems at Microsoft. So now we understand that the shares are under distribution. We know that the stock is relative on a price to sales basis and somewhat overvalued on a price to earnings basis. We know that the efficiency is lagging. It's not what it once was. And we know that the growth of the company has slowed quite a bit over the past 2 years. Is this any reason to be bearish on a stock that is in a seasonally favorable period of time? Not in and of itself, no. But when we take a look at the chart, things begin to change. And this now all becomes a full picture. So here's a blank slate of Microsoft's chart. No indicators, no moving averages, just candlesticks. What do you see? What do you see here? Some of you may pick it up, some of you may not. So I will save the best for last, but let's begin with the moving averages and let's talk about why a month ago I wanted to short Microsoft. Let's bring them up. Now, a month ago, right back here, you have the 50-day moving average in yellow threatening to take out the 200-day moving average. All the while, the triple Qs, while they weren't breaking out along with the rest of the market, they were doing a little bit better than Microsoft. So Microsoft, being the number one component of the triple Qs, got a lot of my attention. So again, as I mentioned earlier, I didn't want to short Microsoft because I was concerned about earnings. I was concerned about the election. I was concerned about seasonality. And rightly so, because the shares, had I shorted them here, I would have had a rip your face off rally, and I would have been taken out of that position with a stop loss. So the discipline worked. We lived to play another day. Now we're getting a second bite at the apple. Now on October the 30th, something very, very interesting happened here. Bearish key reversal. A very bearish engulfing candle or an outside reversal bar, call it what you will. All it is extremely bearish. Now, what happened a couple of days ago? Well, back here on Halloween, oddly enough, on Halloween, you had a bearish divergence of the 50-day, which crossed down below the 200-day moving average. That hasn't happened in a long, long time. Last time that happened was back here, March of 2022. And while we were able to buck that crossover, the share price had already dropped dramatically, and ultimately we succumbed to more selling after this short covering rally. So let's come back to present day. Let's take the moving averages off, and I'll ask the question again. What pattern do you see? I'll give it one alligator, two alligator. There you have it, folks. This is a massive head and shoulders setup. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Your neckline is right down here. So I'm going to be putting in the members area my price target, my entry point, my stop loss point of as to when I plan on shorting Microsoft stock. You need to be a member to get that alert. Now, continuing on here, when we take a look at the momentum indicator, the stochastic, take note of the lower highs and the lower lows. Momentum is waning. So the market is sending you a clear and defined signal that Microsoft is in a lot of trouble. Now, the only thing I could think about right now, what's keeping Microsoft up, is the fact that you've had the triple Q names and the S&P 500, to be fair, in rally mode. In fact, we'll overlay the Bollinger Bands, and you can see that we are trading on top of the 2 standard deviation Bollinger Band. So you can see how the triple Qs are clearly outperforming the shares of Microsoft. The problem is that when the triple Qs ultimately have their pullback, and they will very, very soon, it's going to come, Microsoft is probably going to gap down. So I'm hoping it's not tomorrow because I want to put my short position on, but that's my guess. I believe that Microsoft is going to be moving lower. We will be short of Microsoft stock. Here's the seasonality of Microsoft. Strong seasonality here, up 61% in November, 62% in December. So actually, December is a better month for Microsoft than November, which is pretty much of a surprise to me. So let's take a look at it on a weekly time frame. Yeah, these next couple of weeks are very, very bearish weeks for Microsoft. And the final week of the year is by far the worst week out of the year for Microsoft. This is the value of TrendSpider, folks. A Bloomberg terminal for the retail trader at your disposal. Analyst opinion. Unusual options activity. Look at the red activity there. Put buying. So, folks, take advantage of TrendSpider's 71% discount code. I believe in it so much that I give it away free to our silver and gold level members. And members, I will be sending out an alert. Check the members area. As a matter of fact, I'll post the link in the members area of the updated entry point to short Microsoft, stop loss point, and price target. Hey, folks, please give me a like and subscribe. You know the deal. Have a profitable trading day tomorrow. Take care and be well.